Keep it locked here. Middays with Marcus Maben is next. This is SportsCenter.
Hi, I'm Circuit Court Judge Derwin Webb. In 1959, a sharecropper named George attempted to register to vote in the local Tennessee election. Because of the Jim Crow laws in his fifth grade education, he was denied the right. Yet, he persisted. He studied to retake the test and was denied again because of another requirement that he could not fulfill. Yet, he persisted. He studied once again and came back with a group of friends. Before he entered the office, two men told him to leave and never come back. Because of his act of courage, he lost his job, his home, and was kicked off the farm where he lived and forced to move to Indianapolis with other relatives. I know George well because he was my grandfather. So when you think of the importance of voting this year, think of my grandfather and the other George Webbs that made the sacrifice for us all to vote. So please, please vote.
This is Marcus Maben, and you're listening to 93.9 The Ville from the OPC Services Studio.
That's his game. They don't get back. Look at this.
College try, Steve.
3-on-1. Alley-oop. Oh, my goodness. Marcus Maben. And you certainly are in love with him here in Louisville. Marcus in the open floor. Hops incredible. Here comes Maben off the steal. Oh, my goodness.
DJ Durkin, is that right? Hang on, let me see.
Let's get ready for Marcus Maben. You're about midway to the midday with Marcus Maben. And you can call in.
Yeah, DJ Durkin.
To Marcus Maben. So sit back and relax and watch Maben. Break it down like this. Woo!
Broadcasting live from the OPC Pest Services Studio. Time for Middays with Marcus Maben on 93.9 The Ville. Now, here's Marcus Maben and Steve Rummage.
Welcome back. It's midday with Marcus Maben. 8150 93.9 is the number. 93.9 is the station. And people, I know you didn't want to do the Monday morning thing. I know you hesitated getting out of the bed this morning, but once you saw the beautiful weather and saw the beautiful date, realized we're in August. We're getting deeper in August. You couldn't wait to hear this. Steve Rummage is not in the building. Brian Hall in the booth.
Steve, sorry, man. I guess your crowd's here, but you're not. Sorry about that. Sorry.
What do you know? Brian Hall.
Steve.
Good old college try Steve Rummage strikes again. Welcome back. They're joking up and down the hallways. Hey, where's Steve? Doing Steve things, I guess. They're joking around up and down the hall. Well, he's already used the baby excuse 10 times, and the baby's not even here yet.
No reason not to use it one more time, apparently.
Hey, Marcus, maybe Steve should save some of these days so after Alabama blows out Louisville, Steve would call in sick or Clemson. But that's what I got.
He uses the baby to skip out on work, but he's not going to use the baby as an excuse to go to the Alabama game.
That's what I have to hear up and down these hallways every single time. College try Steve strikes again. It
won't be the last.
Wait,
time,
I gotta ask this question. I'm just gonna ask you this question. I'm not gonna make this, Steve centric right now. I'm gonna just ask you just one question. Do you think that Steve owes you a "I'm not gonna be in here" text? You are the producer. You are in charge of playing the sound. You are in charge of setting up the entrance for the show. Does he owe you the courtesy text of hey B Hall, might not make it in today?
I mean, it's appreciated. That way I at least know what I'm going into. Because a lot of times, and last week I didn't get one from you. I'm just saying, but I come in and I get it thrown at me like 2 minutes before the show. Hey, Steve's not gonna be in today. Oh, all right. So I'm working as a co-host.
Listen, last time didn't count.
I'm just messing.
I had the Benadryl shut down.
Hey, I know how that goes, man.
Steve,
Whew,
listen.
take that on knock
Steve got the 7:30 text, and the Benadryl shut down. So it was like, dude, no,
Hey, it's
I
all
didn't care.
good.
I didn't care about you. I didn't care about me. I didn't care about anybody else. But with that being said,
It's okay. I come in prepared for whatever.
How was your weekend, Brian?
Do what now?
Hey, how was your weekend?
Oh, I had a great weekend. Spent some time at St. Joe's on Saturday. Went to the duck pond. Saw our caller Samson. Samson was working the duck pond and got some free adult beverages from him.
Right.
Friday. Also Saturday, I went out for my buddy's birthday. He had a party at his house.
You
which
have
is always
more
good. My buddy
friends,
Alex here.
and
Happy
you
30th birthday.
You party harder than and happy birthday,
30th.
Ken Lola.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Ken Lola.
Oh, Ken Lola, yes.
Yes, shout out. Look, August 17th. Is it Ken?
August 17th at 5:30 at the Brown
Good
and Williamson
job.
Club. You can go to USA Soccer or USA
Soccerville, USA.
Soccerville.com. And you can get your tickets there. I know they're trying to sell out that event, so get out there, listen to Ken Lola.
They're
and the
ranked
guys.
number
And then
6 in the
day
country,
after-
people.
The day after, you get a free exhibition game against Evansville, and that's obviously at Dr. Mark and Cindy Lynn Stadium. But get out there for the kickoff banquet. I know they're trying to sell that out. So Brown and Williamson Club, August 17th.
You know what? Let me just say this right now, because this has nothing to do with the show that I was going to have today. Dr. Mark and Cindy Lynn, thank you. Thank you for the stadium. It is absolutely awesome.
Beautiful soccer stadium.
Brian Hall and myself have experienced one of the most beautiful days you've ever seen in your life. Compliments of Dr. Mark and Cindy Lynn. Thank you so much.
It's a beautiful soccer arena, especially for the collegiate level. I mean,
Yes.
get out there.
It is worthy of a number 6 ranked team nationally. Now, it just sucks that the other 5 are in the ACC. My God.
Right?
Right? Spread it out. So, get out the conference or something. Jeez. Point
It's all
being,
right. Ken Lola will get us through it.
happy birthday, Ken Lola. We're going to make sure we bring you that information 3 or 4 times today. Brian Hall, said it's a smooth weekend. It was smooth for me, myself. I feel like I kind of caught back up on work. I really didn't leave the house. It was just one of those kind of weekends. I got out for a second, adult beverage.
There's a lot of good sports stuff to keep an eye on, too. Obviously, Teddy Bridgewater played on Friday night.
I was going to ask you.
St. Joe Saturday, and then Sunday, watching that final round of the PGA Championship with Louisville and Justin Thomas kind of being there, Tiger, and it just all of that together was pretty good.
Which had your attention the most, Brian?
The hallway.
Through the weekend. Through the weekend, Brian. What were you into?
I think what captivated my mind the most was sitting there watching the PGA Championship. It's the first tournament in a while that, they're coming down the stretch. There was, 3 or 4 big names in contention. Brooks Koepka was looking for his second major of the year.
Right.
Tiger is looking for that comeback victory. You got Justin Thomas, who, if he could have won the tournament, would have moved up to the number 1 ranked player in the nation, or in the country, which would have been, or the world. In the world. He would have.
I wasn't going to correct you.
Which would have been pretty cool.
I will never correct you in your soccer knowledge. I can be that guy. I am kind of like the LeBron James. I go where Tiger goes, and I don't care who knows it. Whatever you say. But here's the thing. And before we go forward, this is how I consume Tiger Woods. I want him to win so bad that if I turn on Tiger Woods and he misses something that he should hit, or he hits one of those stray drives, I turn it off, right? And if something happens to come across my screen like he's balling, now I can't even go back to it. But then if I do something and he starts balling, yeah, I just, it's one of the things I shouldn't even be that invested in it, but it's one of those things I guess the sports lover in me still just says, I don't like to see long-standing struggles. Listen, I'll say this. I made a confession in the back. This is why Steve's not in here too. I was asked about Kentucky basketball and how they looked, right? And I had to actually take off my Louisville clothes, you know what I'm saying, and have this discussion. So what do you really think about them, Marcus? I said, I watched them. I said, they're athletic, you know what I'm saying? They have a good roster, right? But I said, they're not playing defense, right? And I said, I actually admit this out loud. I felt bad. The basketball player in me felt bad for those kids. Because I'm like, is your coach not turning y'all into a defensive team again? You know what I'm saying? Like, you're getting run out of the gym because you're not playing defense. You should go to the Bahamas thinking defense, defense, defense.
Here's the thing, like they definitely look good, but the thing is it's so hard to judge against talent like this because you don't know a lot about these teams. Some of them are professional teams that have been put together that play at a very high level and could beat Kentucky, and then some of them are not up to par, and they play a different style of basketball over there. You mesh the different styles. It's hard to really take away, but what you can take away is they're an athletic team.
Here's what the thing was. You don't look at the team they're playing against. You look at the mentality of the team you got. I wasn't paying attention to the Bohemian players. I'm looking at the players and I'm looking what they're focused on. They're focused on getting some shots up, right?
No, I agree.
And I saw it and I'm like, what are y'all doing?
But don't you think games like that are a little bit closer to like a street ball unorganized?
That's
type
exactly what I said right in the back. I said they went over to the Bahamas to play some pickup ball. And that's not a good mentality, if you really want to go get a ring. That's enough of that topic.
All right, we're done talking about Kentucky.
Right, I was going to say that'll finish. Okay, so stories come out of the weekend. Stories came out of the weekend. I was kind of locked in. I did a lot of Twitter surfing. I mean, I was like hooked into Twitter. Yeah, of course, the Tom Herman thing caught my attention a little bit. What a story if that would have turned into a story. We might have to discuss it. Maryland.
Oh yeah.
Maryland, #1 story catches my attention. Give me that name. I won't steal it from you.
DJ Durkin.
Coach. Head coach. And I always feel like every time I hear the school Maryland, it's almost like they're like.
I only think about Gary Williams when I hear that.
No, I think they're like our foster brother that got separated, you know what I'm saying, when the adoption came. Like they're always gonna hate us because of what they should have been. Like they know they shouldn't have made that move, that conference move. They're regretting that move forever. And it's like the brother who said, I want to go live with dad because he's cool. And then dad ends up
it's not being so cool.
Yeah. Dad ends up not the responsible adult parent that you wanted. And I chose to go live with mom, and mom's responsible.
Yeah, pretty much. That's
right,
what happened.
Right? That's what's going on with Maryland. And so I'm looking over at my brother from long distance like,
Like the 60 seconds clock?
No, that's the shaking my head, tisk tisk. You should have came and lived with us. Right?
60 minutes. That's what I was thinking of.
That's going to. Point being, listen, this is the problem. I'll set up the story. Head coach Maryland football fired. Now, a student athlete died. Are they officially saying he died from heat exhaustion or something to that level?
Yes.
Okay. Let's start the conversation right there because it has a ton of tributaries, and this conversation everybody can relate to, especially anybody who's worked hard at a sport. And it doesn't even have to be sports. It has to be work hard in the weight room. People who have dieted like really hard, extremely hard. Like this is a conversation we can all participate in. 8150 939 is the number. 3831 939 is the text line.
I'd say even kids that participate only at a youth level, as long as you participated in youth sports for a extended period of time, at some point or another, you have felt what this player felt in the sense of like, I just need a break, coach, or I need water, or just give me something.
Okay, now let's use that as the starting point. The coach is not being charged with the death of the kid, right? So let's separate it. Let's separate it right now and let's have this conversation. Because the question always starts, how much is too much? How much pushing a kid is too much? How much have you learned from sports and being pushed? What is the damage that someone pushing you as opposed to the reward of being or not being pushed? What has that made in your life? Because all our perceptions and all of our opinions are probably going to come from our experience with our former coaches, our former trainers, things we wanted. And so here's the thing. We can do the physical aspect or we can do the psychological aspect. Let's start off with the physical aspect. No water, archaic. That didn't happen here. No one was denied water. That's always the first thing we jump to. Exhaustion, a lot of times, is dehydration. It's a lot of times lack of water. Now, I will start the conversation right here. Don't you know how many times people refuse water? How many dehydrated athletes refuse water?
I can tell you how many times I have.
Seriously?
No, none.
No,
I always want water.
No. Look, what I'm saying is like what a basketball game. You know, you're mad. You come to timeout.
Oh, okay, yeah. There has been times where somebody tries to hand me water. I'm like, no.
Right. That's what I mean. You know what I'm saying? Like, not like summer heat, sweating. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But you need that water at all times. You're always dehydrated when you play sports. Here's the thing, people. I wasn't making the point for water. I was making the point of physical exhaustion, pushing yourself, coaches pushing you. Here's the thing. Have you seen someone be pushed to the point of throwing up? Have you, during conditioning, seen someone throw up?
In the weight room, yeah, I have.
Weight room,
yeah,
running, basketball. That's a common thing. You know what they say in medical terms? That's a sign of exhaustion.
Yeah.
And you know what people say? Well, I bet it is, right? If you'd eat a little healthier, you wouldn't be throwing up, right? Like that, something as simple as somebody throwing up. Why did I just?
I've actually been there. I've been that person before.
Okay, and I'm not talking about throwing up due to not taking care of your body the night before.
No, I'm talking about
just,
in a game
yeah,
setting.
just
at a game,
right.
I had to
just
go at a
really,
timeout.
Really pushing yourself, you know what I'm saying, to that point. Pushing your body, right? Now, do you look back on that and say, I was being pushed too hard?
Well, in my case, it was during the game, so I was the only one pushing myself. I was going to go as hard as my mind was going to let me go.
Right. Okay, so do you consider being pushed or being conditioned to the point of throw up? Do you consider that abuse? See, it doesn't even matter because you stopped and you went, right? And you know what that was? That was 2018 Brian Hall. Because now, when you add the medical explanation to that, yes, you can't even push. You know, that's considered going too far. But I don't know people who really believe, who grew up playing sports, believe that that's going too far. But you add analytics to it, you add medical language to it, and maybe it is.
The thing is like coaching, especially a sport like football or something like that, is kind of the one area that it's kind of accepted to have tough love. And what a lot of players would say is at the time they didn't like getting yelled at and that they were mad. But now when they, 30-year-old Brian looks back on 18-year-old Brian, he says, the coach was looking out for the benefit of me, just trying to push me. He knew that I was capable of more and was trying to get me to that point, and it was a tough love lesson.
Right.
But he had my best intentions in mind.
Right. There is an inherent pressure. There's a relationship that you're going to have to agree to if you're gonna play a coached sport.
I think everybody in their life, if they're going to grow into the person that they're going to be, has to at some point experience some form of tough love. And really the only form of it that's accepted right now is in a football coaching or a basketball coaching atmosphere where you're trying to push that.
That's what I'm talking about, Brian. Say that again. Say that again. At anybody in any aspect.
I think
you said it so well.
If you're going to mature and you're going to be the person that you want to be, that at some point in your life you have to experience some form of tough love. And really the only form of tough love that's accepted now, especially in our society, because parents get abuse put on them when they're trying to discipline their kids, is a form of coaching.
Listen, you're right. Teachers can't really give that kind of tough love and pressure. Coaches can. Any authoritative figure cannot do that. Our neighborhoods, other parents used to be able to push you to do something, or now it's, here's the thing. There's
a fine line, though. There's a fine line somewhere.
See, and that's the thing.
Going too far, and
it can't be a fine line if the penalty is going to be severe, because that means you can't even go near the fine line if there's going to be.
The fine line shouldn't be life-threatening.
Right. The fine line shouldn't be life-threatening, or the fine line shouldn't be coach firing.
Exactly.
Like it's almost like you're going to have to start contracting the rules and regulations of styles of coaching. Like we're going to have to put together an entire committee. 8150-939, 3831-939 is the text line. I got to get to the Bill at Scorns & Sons Collision Center hotline. Allows us to have Mike. Mike, thanks for joining us on 939, my man. Fire away.
Hey, what's up, guys? How y'all doing?
Good.
The situation is obviously unfortunate for the kid and his family, but the question I would have would be is how is the athlete or, whomever is in that position, how are they taking care of their body outside of football? Is he properly hydrating before and after a football practice?
Right.
That would be my ultimate question. I'd hate to speak, ill of the dead, but
no,
I would wonder what he's doing outside of football.
No, Mike. I appreciate the call, and here I'll help you bail out of that uncomfortableness. We don't have to make it in that particular player, because I'll say this: at least once a year, you hear about a football. This happening on the football field a couple times. You hear about it happening in a basketball game a couple of times. Where somebody needs a defibrillator, right? You hear about this in sports. Like this happens on a soccer field. Like this happens when you push your body physically. Like that's something that is again inherent in sports. Your body, your heart, and pushing to extremes is a delicate mix. Here's the thing. I'm speaking also from a athletic background, history. And I know that pushing yourself in walks of life or being pushed, like how does humanity progress if there's no pressure to become something new?
When you go to a gym, you're basically lifting, different parts of your body when they're at their weakest, trying to make them stronger. And just that's the point. But Mike is right in the sense that, it's hard to say because you do feel the pain for the families of who passed away.
Right.
But you look at a lot of the situations of players who have passed away, they had conditions, like
right.
Marvin Stone had a heart condition and just different things. And anybody who passes away from an experience like this that the Maryland football player did, and I get it that you feel pressured by your head coach that you have to succeed, but at the same time it's a 50-50 choice, because you have to be doing something outside of football that you're not keeping up to the level of the other football players.
And this
things
force
like that. There's no one person that's at fault every time somebody dies.
This conversation forces you to be callous about exercise and performance, extreme performance, like pushing your body. Like you have to think about this. There's only a limited few people who can actually play college football or sports. based on everybody who would love to do it. The people who get to do it, who get those opportunities, who win those opportunities, they win those opportunities by pressing themselves and being pressed. And this is, again, we're just talking about the physical side. Where do we draw the line? Like, okay, there is no touching a player. There is no, violently doing something to the player to cause physical distress. But here's the thing. Requesting that a player continue to run through fatigue. Now, are we gonna just make it mandatory for a doctor to be on call monitoring between every wind sprint? Like what I'm saying is we're gonna have to start defining the lines of what pushing an athlete is allowed. And we're going to start having to waiver out coaches. Okay, I am going to request this player runs to a point of physical exhaustion, right? But this waiver releases me from personal responsibility, you know what I'm saying? If we take a physical, you know what I'm saying? We don't find any ailments that would cause him not to be able to be pushed. His body will tell him when he can't go anymore. Now, I won't believe him, and I'll tell him his body can go more, but that's what I'm saying. Like, that's the physical part of it.
And I know this isn't the case in this one, but water should never be denied. You always have water whenever you need it.
That didn't happen. That just comes up a lot of times when we had this conversation. Let me get back to these phone lines, man. People, feel free to jump in on this one. I mean, everybody has an experience and has kind of a jaded point of view or a extreme, appreciation point of view. Josh, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. Fire away.
Hey, what's going on?
Chilling.
Hey, what do you think about the conditioning of these kids, though, compared to 20, 30 years ago when kids were outside running all during the summer, playing sports, where now they're just inside, on their Xboxes or phones, whereas before they used to be out running, and conditioned for this weather.
No, listen, I appreciate
Really good point.
Time is beneficial to your knowledge. Okay, people. See, here's the thing. When you're talking about pushing somebody, I mean, are we going to factor in how much junk food you eat? Are we going to factor in what do you do outside? I mean, I know it's almost like we hear about it more in an extreme way, right? Because you had people getting sick and people going through things a long time ago, 30 years ago. But you know what? You didn't hear about it. You didn't. The first time you heard about, a on the field was Hank Gathers, But again, heart condition, pushing himself. I do agree with what Josh is saying. Different levels of condition. But here's what I want to say. And this is the comment that's going to help me transition into the psychological aspect.
Yeah.
Because we've already determined a coach can push you. We can educate the players more about where their body's hitting their limits, right? You can be pushed, you know what I'm saying? But you cannot be denied health, things. But
like you said, that's where the fine line comes in, because the coach is trying to get the most stamina out of the player, but the only way you're going to build the stamina is to push them when they're the most tired. And then, because that's what's going to build his stamina.
Right.
But at the same time, when do you go too far, and then it becomes life-threatening?
So the pushing, to me, I side with the coaches on the athletic side of pushing a player through physical exhaustion.
They're paid a lot of money.
No, I mean, just leave that part out. I'm just saying, when you have the debate of coaches.
There's a lot of pressure on the coach, to have success on the field.
Listen. The players have pressure to be successful. Like they want to make it to the pros. If you tell me, how do I make it to the pros? I'm going to say, you have to let me push you through physical exhaustion, right? You have to separate yourself from.
And people argue that's what you sign up for when you sign up for football.
Right. So here's the point where I side, in this part of the conversation, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to side with the coach for the amount of physical, exertion he gets out of his players. Now, here's the thing. Josh brought up a point about, the different times, right? But here's what I don't hear people talking about. And this is the number one thing I hear from everybody who says, who's winning the coaching, everybody who talks about how the times have changed, right? It's not the Xbox. They're factors. The Xbox and the indoors, those aren't the factors. It's not that these kids are so soft they can't tolerate being yelled at. And I know you've heard that, and you've heard the times are changing, you heard the Xbox, and everybody's heard all these factors about how these kids are different. It's the parents. It's the parents that can't stand to see their kids running through exhaustion. It's the parents that say, my baby looks tired out there, and he's getting his butt handed to him out there because you ran him too much, coach.
Well, put it the other way. We've looked at it from the extreme standpoint one way. What if you have a super, easy coach, and he goes easy on the guys, and then all of a sudden you put the players out there in a position that they're not prepared and ready, and then they get hurt because they're not prepared and ready.
We're going to get there. That's going to be on the back part of this conversation. But I will say, when the parents will not let their kids be coached, when the parents want direct influence on the training, the psychological, the play calling, that's what's changing on the sidelines, right? Now parents know their financial responsibilities. Okay, I pay my money. I got stock in my kids' development. I got stock in this youth team. I got every coach who talks about, about how youth sports have changed. Every coach, not people watching the game. Every coach who's involved on a daily basis, wave after wave after wave, they say nothing has changed more than the parents' attempt to be hands-on.
Oh, very much so.
In the conversation. And they say that's what hurts things the most.
Everything's got political with sports, too. I mean, playing time in sports, just different things is all generated by a lot of parents having more involvement in the game when it used to be just you drop them off to the coach and let the coach handle it, and we'll come back and pick them up. Now there's parents that sit at practices and watch all the practice and everything. I mean, they have complete control.
Texter says, knowing medically what we know today, the last thing a coach should want to do is have a kid die due to being ridden too hard. That would be hard to get over. Right. Like, if you ever thought that your kid was in real health danger, right? Like, no, I'd find it hard to believe a coach is that so sadistic that I literally am going to push you till you die. Although, if you ask anybody who's been pushed by a coach, they physically think that you're trying to kill me today, coach. Like, I'm really going to die today, but I'm going to do it because you want me to do it. And I like playing football. I like being on this team. So I'm just going to go ahead and die because I love this more than anything.
Well, I know Drew was debating it last week on his show about the CSAA and how the numbers have gone down, how they're, that one team had 8 or 9 schools combining to make one team. And that a lot is because a lot of parents don't give their kids the opportunity to play football anymore. They just say from the start, you're not going to play football.
Listen. This goes back to the harshness of football, right? The harshness of football, a coach yelling at a football player, is the hardest thing to watch as a parent because you're watching your kid get yelled at by somebody who's not his parent.
And then you get all these stories about people dying and getting major injuries, and their kids don't want to put them through that process and see their kid possibly go through that same thing.
Right, and some of that's kind of sensationalism. It's social media sensation. Something we will hear about a story quicker, and we'll hear the revision of it. We'll hear about that more than we heard. Like back in the day, it was somebody in, Nebraska who died on the football field that we heard in the USA Today, and it was distant, But now something on the USA Today is on everybody's wall, so it feels like it happened locally. So now we're all panicked, like this could be my kid in my situation. But just to put a bow tie on the parent aspect of it. Every coach says the most that has changed is a parent can convince their child, yeah, you were tired today. You just didn't have it, right? Which is unheard of pre 2000s probably, late 2000s when it became a political narrative with CT where a parent can say you shouldn't be pushed that hard or you shouldn't be, yelled at or, when a parent gets involved in that conversation. But and like I said, I'm not taking the parent out of recommendations, but like I said, you ask any youth coach, and in an honest moment, how many of you feel like the kids are different, and how many of you feel like the parents and your ability to do your job is different?
Tim.
On one? Let me get to that one. Tim, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man.
Eric on 2.
Hey, Marcus. I just wanted to say that you're talking about the numbers of youth football league players dropping. My grandson is 8. This is his 4th year playing. He moved up an age group, and they started the season Saturday. Next year, we're going from 9 teams to 6 teams. We're combining because there's not enough kids to make teams. I will also add that Steve Rummage is not on the air today because of what happened that my grandson did to his son's team Saturday.
You know what? You picked the perfect time, Tim, to drop that little bit of information. Steve Rummage is now in the building. Steve, how do you respond to that one?
It took me a few minutes to get going, but I'm here. Look, I'm here. I'm locked in now.
Is your mic on?
I don't know.
Brian. I just yelled in everybody's
That's
ear
okay.
like that.
We'll yell at Brian. All right. Well, anyways, yeah, it's good to be back, man. Sorry, I got the wife with me today, so obviously
the good I got the wife excuse.
Yeah, obviously it took a little longer than normal, but here I am. So this is good. It's not Indianapolis.
Wait a minute. Hey. Did you just start the Monday morning show with a comment like that? People, he makes me incredibly uncomfortable.
It's
when
not.
his wife's around.
Yeah. We're not in Indianapolis trying to get to a tournament game or anything, but we are here.
No, we're just about to welcome another human being to the world.
Yeah.
Sorry, Steve.
Yes.
Things can't be rushed.
Anyways, yeah, it's good to be here. Yeah, my son's team did lose this week.
They got trounced.
No, they should have won, man. They gave up 2 long runs. Other than that, I think they gave up 14 yards.
People, you're listening to a psychopath talk about the 2 long runs that his team gave up.
I know. So, anyways, it was bad. Yeah, there's undefeated.
My son's team got busted too. So if that makes you feel better.
He gave up an underneath route one time.
He actually was the pick in that route.
Yeah.
It was just Martavis.
But other than that,
it was just Martavis Bryant.
Martavis Bryant.
Just damn near a super. Yeah, he gave up a long catch to a Super Bowl.
I was gonna say, kind of underneath there. I was like, come on, hey, look, I'm out here.
Come on, Jalen.
The conversation you're having, from what I've heard when I come in, the conversation you're having, that's perfect. So I'm kind of critiquing. Like, come on, man, what are you doing? Just gonna let him go? Even though that was impossible for him to make that tackle.
Come on, Jalen. Peripheral vision right here.
So
it's just Martavis Bryant.
I know. But
my number 3 fantasy pick.
I'm
just kidding.
Really? Okay, I was gonna say, man, be in my league. No, but he played good. Other than that,
I don't know what that
in
is.
The world is going on.
I don't know, but some cartoon popped up. I'm sorry about that.
Anyways,
Tim.
Yeah, so it was
just join our conversation about the parents' involvement.
I am. Yeah, I'm in. I'm ready to go. Parents' involvement in youth sports. I'm the wrong guy to ask about that.
Right.
Yeah, because I jerked my kid up by the face mask at halftime, and I let him know how crap what he did in the first half was, and that's not acceptable if you're gonna be out here telling me I want to go to Trinity, I want to play at Louisville, then that first half was not acceptable. It's just not acceptable. That can't happen again. In the second half, for his
He's
part.
the exact dad that we were
I know.
referring
Yeah,
to.
I know.
I mean, if you want to be great, that's not okay.
But it's still a tough dad perspective.
Yeah.
Not don't yell at my kid.
No.
Yeah.
No, perfectly fine. I mean, one of the coaches grabbed him up. I mean, on the sideline on Saturday, and I mean, and told him, it's like you're one of the biggest kids in the league, and I'm not sure I can put you back out there. I'm like, dang right, tell him. But I don't think that was abusive. I think there is a line.
Eric, thanks for joining us on 939, my man. What's on your mind?
Hey, guys. Okay, so I'm the same age as a certain Marcus Maven's son, and I played football, I played basketball, I played tennis, did, a little bit of each, and I remember being outside practicing for football. We're in full pads in the summer, in July, August. It's over 100 degrees outside. We're out playing. Did I feel like I was being pushed? Yeah, I really did feel like I was being pushed really bad, but you know what? I didn't complain about heat when I went out there to actually play.
Oh, no, Eric. Eric, you complained, Eric. We all complained.
No. Well, what I'm saying is it didn't affect me the same way it would have if I wouldn't have gone through those things. How do you make a diamond? A diamond has to have pressure. The only way that you can get better and improve yourself is to push yourself. There is no other way to do that. And I feel like people try to ascribe the way that our society has turned with all the medical things. Like, this is sports. In sports, there is a risk. You have to get a physical before you can play. And when they get that physical, they ask what you're going to play. When you tell them what they're going to play, they tell you the types of injuries you can have, possibly death. All of that goes into it. And people who are so soft about the sports that's being played and they don't want to push their kids, I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do. But the only way they're going to be good and the only way they're going to learn lessons in life is to be pushed. And it just, I had a dad like Steve. Now I didn't get any higher than high school level, but I had a dad like Steve who was pushing you constantly. If I go home and complain about what a coach said to me, he's like, well, you didn't do it right. Why didn't you do what your coach said? Why don't you go out there and work harder? That type of thing. He didn't, he wasn't one that even put, his son in. If I wasn't as good as somebody else on the team, I rode the bench because if he was coaching, because that's just the way it is. Like, you have to prove yourself and improve yourself and push yourself. So I find it very hard to be good at sports and to be involved in sports if you're not going to let yourself be pushed and if you're not going to let coaches push people to a point of exhaustion. Because you do feel like you're exhausted sometimes, but you have to get there when you're in the fourth quarter of a game and you need to get this and you feel like you're dying. You used that practice experience when you felt like you were dying in practice to get through that game, to finish off that game. And so I have a very, very strong thing that I just think a lot of people are very, very soft when it comes to sports nowadays, and it's sports. That's what you signed up for. But that's my personal opinion, guys. I love the conversation. And, Steve, I'm glad you're back in there. So, go Cards, guys, and thanks for having me on.
No, Eric, listen, I appreciate the call. Here's what I never wanted this conversation to turn into back in my day, right? Mm-hmm. I wanted to isolate different aspects of this conversation because we have to sit around. We have to kid gloves the physical exhaustion when you get a bad start.
Right.
But here's the thing. Nowadays, I don't like the coach, right?
Yeah.
I find the kid who doesn't play, and then I ask him, why aren't you playing? The coach doesn't like me. Coach does these things to me. Coach is abusive to me. Well, how is he abusive to you? I don't know if you heard the part of the conversation. I said, nowadays, Steve, in conditioning, I won't even say nowadays.
Right.
Every team you've been on during conditioning, somebody threw up, yes?
Yeah.
Every basketball, football, any sport that requires extreme exertion, somebody threw up, right?
Yeah.
That throw up, I'm sorry, people, I have to use this, that regurgitation is often a sign of exhaustion or extreme exhaustion. Is the medical definition for that, right?
Right. So
now, I'm a parent. I don't like you as a coach.
Yeah.
You're abusing that kid because you pushed him to exhaustion.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm a newspaper who wants, we see this a lot. I'm a media market guy
who
wants to see commotion
Yeah.
in a local university. I go to the guys who were, who were irresponsible, or I go to the guys who were, getting in trouble, or I go to the guy who is not happy with the position. A story like, forcing a kid to throw up, is exhausting.
Right.
I listened to Drew talk about one of the stories that came out of the Miami coach situation. He was forced to eat a candy bar because he was either overweight or underweight, in front of people.
Right.
That turned into humiliation,
Yeah, but that's a difference, though. That's humiliation. What I say, like in my instance, you could look at me and say, well, because I don't. One thing I don't like to do is overstep a coach.
Right.
Okay. I like to say, when the coaches are coaching, I'm dad. We'll talk after the game.
Right.
But if my son, I think it also is, what does the kid want? If my son looks at me and I say, son, what is your goal?
Right.
We write them out, and we really do.
Right.
What's your goals? Dad, I want to play for Trinity. I want to make the All-Star team at the end of the year.
Right.
I want to win. I want to go undefeated. I want to win the championship. These are what he wrote down. Okay. Now what your big goals, we've got his big goals are something separate. I want to go to Trinity. Now that could change, but the point is, like,
St. X is on the come up.
I want to go to college. I want to go to college. I want to play. Then that's why I'm comfortable. I don't like to say snatch it up, but grabbing him by the face mask and saying, that crap, pardon my French, that crap in the first half, that don't,
pardon my French.
That don't that crap don't get you there. That don't get you there, because you told me this is what you want. This is your goals.
So you think that's
how a father am telling you that don't get you there.
Is that how a coach justifies pushing past normal limits?
The other day, last week at their practice, they were doing they continue to, there was a
people. Steve, you better go back and listen to the podcast of yourself.
Okay.
You're a psycho.
No, I know. No, I'm not.
But go ahead. Tell the story.
But they're doing bear crawls.
You're passionate.
There's kids tearing up.
Yep.
Because it's hard.
Right.
And it needs to be hard. And my son comes over, and he's hurting because he's a big kid.
Right.
Bear crawls when you're a big kid. They're
Right.
tough. They're tough. And he's coming over, man, and I can tell he's just like, oh, and I always tell him, I say, it's hard in practice, so it's not in the game. It's hard in practice, so it's not in the game. There's a difference in pushing somebody to their brink and abuse. There's a difference.
Help me find that line.
Well, I think. Oh God, no, we're not even gonna have this conversation. I would walk in and watch you.
I'm listening.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, y'all just missed that. You have to be on the YouTube channel to see that one. But I think the difference is
because that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to find the abuse line. Because listen, pushing a kid to throwing up now can be posed as abuse.
Okay, but let me ask you this: kid has and this is horrible. This is everybody's nightmare. Okay, kid has a condition. I push you in practice, you die.
No, we've already discussed that. Like,
okay.
Like,
see, I may be behind on that a little bit.
That's an extreme circumstance.
Yes.
So we're not doing that. We're just doing.
But even in that situation, now, am I abusive coach?
Or are we talking about, like, okay, so tactics? Does it come down to tactics?
I think tactics could be yes. But where's the line? Again, we talked about this last week. I said the culture in football is different. I heard Drew talk about it this morning, about the culture in football. It's different. That's why Urban Meyer won't lose his job, because culture in football of something like that, I think I won't. I've seen things. It's different. It's different there, and I don't know that you can ever change the culture in football.
Because of the sport.
Because of the sport. I don't think you can. Go talk to an NFL linebacker. Okay? I'm not saying your son in particular, but you could. They're wired. They're not wired right. Okay, I mean, there's something in that gear. There's something in that head that can go to. And when I say wired right, is let's just not be awkward. Jalen can go to a place where I'm so zoned in that he is not on this planet.
I'm going to.
When Jalen Reeves-Maben can stand on the sideline and say by the fourth quarter, "Oh, Dad, no, I knew all their signals." In a college game,
right?
I knew every one of their signals. That's how we bust them. You're not. You can go somewhere that the average person can't go,
and just and the attacking nature of it.
Yes, but that started when he was a child
in the bear crawls.
In the bear crawls, playing in Clarksville, Tennessee. Like that's where that started. That's why I don't mind. Not roughing my kid up. I was gonna say roughing my kid up, but that's why I don't mind saying, dude, when the old ladies ran past me on the track and looked at me like I was a psychopath.
Right.
When I got an 8-year-old out there working, I'm like, well, your kid probably sucks. So keep running. You know.
Denny, thanks for joining us on 93.9, my man. Fire away.
Steve has lost his mind.
He has absolutely lost his mind today.
He has lost his mind. I'm going to start calling him Bear Bryant. That's what I'm starting doing because no water.
I love it.
Run for days. We're going to throw the pickups out here in the field.
That's funny.
Pray till we bleed.
That's
all
funny.
Right? So, but no, I think my boy Eric or Rick or whoever the guy that called in right before me, he needs more participation trophies. I don't know what's going on with him, but we all hated playing in the hot weather.
Oh.
We all didn't enjoy that.
I mean, I got his point. I was kind of messing with him semantically, but his point was you got through it.
Yeah, you do. You get through it. You suck it up. You do it. We are a little bit soft, but I think we call it soft because we're trying to be smarter. But that's not why I called, Marcus. You've upset my wife, and I'm not trying to change gears, but you've upset my wife.
I'm listening.
And now, I just got to tell you, my daughter, she plays soccer. They play in the heat. They run all the time. You know how this goes. Well, she made the varsity as a freshman at her school, and she got to pick numbers. And my wife played college volleyball. She played, and her number was number 6. And because she listens to the show through the summer and when she can in the car, she chose to pick number 5. And my wife's so upset with you, and I don't know how to handle this. I need to hear your expertise on what I need to do because she's a big Marcus Maven fan. And so she told me I need to change my name when I call in to D5. That's how much she's a Marcus fan. So I just need to listen to you. Help me get my wife from almost coming off the ledge because she didn't take her number because she's a Marcus Maven fan. I'm going to get up and I'm going to hang up and listen.
Denny?
Kills my arguments, I guess.
Denny? I don't want to help you. Denny, I listened to Steve. I need every supporter, every fan that I can get. Listen, back in the day, I would have said, hey, you know what? Take number 6. You don't have to take number 5. And imagine you work with Steve. You don't have any real fans. Nobody likes you. You were taking
Listen, he takes it to the extreme.
No, so now
everybody hates you, Marcus.
So now every single time, your family, throws you under the bus because they're Marcus Maven fans. I'm going to support that.
Yep.
Like my ego needs it from this point forward.
I wear number 5. Maybe it's you know how many times people ask me in the leagues, hey man, number 5, you Marcus? No. I wore number 5 before I knew Marcus. Okay? No. Yeah.
I seen your little high school photo and you weren't number 5 then.
Well, okay. I'm talking men's leagues. That was after my career was over. Look.
Let you tell it your career still.
My career is still. I'm in the peak right now, man.
Right.
All right. Here's the deal. Talk about me being a psychopath. I am with my kid, but I'm also a psychopath in another thing. And if we don't get to talking about in this second hour about what we've seen this weekend from this football team, what we heard this weekend from this football team, what we heard from Coach.
I almost forgot. We're actually going to talk about.
I can't wait.
Real sports.
That's why on a day like today where I was busy, I would have just, I would have said, hey, I ain't going to make it today. But this
Steve, I purposely left that food on the plate.
I know you did, and I appreciate that. I appreciate that. But
no,
now
you
I'm
didn't.
ready
No,
to
you
go.
were you were in the process of throwing me under the bus for not talking about
Oh,
something
no,
that I
no.
knew you wanted to talk about.
No, I think you waited for me, and I appreciate it. But I am ready to.
I hope the
this.
I hope the listeners appreciate what I do here.
You do.
Think I didn't want to talk about
I know.
locker room talk, or what do you call it? Billboard, bulletin board stuff.
No, I don't think it was
You went
bulletin
out
board.
there
It
on
was
Saturday,
true.
right? Charles Clay wants to know some stuff that you saw, and he wants to play that Des Fitzpatrick sound.
Oh, wait. we gonna do that.
Oh, we gonna do that. Midday with Marcus Maven, 8150. 93.9 is the number on 93.9 The Ville.